Okay, so when we're attaching heels like this that have this little sort of screw area already in the heel, we need to make sure that it's not in the way of the metal shank that's in the insole. Now, sometimes you'll have insoles where it's exposed like this and you can actually see where the shank is, and sometimes there's a piece over the top and you can't really see. So you'll have to use that little mark there to kind of figure out where the shank is ending. And you'll also have to double check that your heel actually fits within that area before you start. So if I had trimmed the insole down, and I was trying to place the heel there, you see that it would be in the way, the shank would be in the way of the screw, so I wouldn't actually be able to get that in. So if you want to use this mechanism, you need to make sure that you've got enough space on your insole that that will actually fit there. Alternatively, you can just not use this screw and you can screw your own screws in on either side of the shank, but it might not look quite as neat and you'll still need to make space for that so that it sits flush. What I'm going to do here, you can see I haven't got that stuck down there yet, but it is nicely stuck around the front. I'm going to hold this up and take the heel and place it so that I can see where it's avoiding the shank and where it's nice and centered. So what I'm doing there is I'm just pushing it down to sort of make a mark on the insole, and I'll just show you here. I'll use a silver pen. So the shank is a little off center, but you can see I've made a little mark there to see where it is. Okay, so I'm holding the sole back and I'm going to drill straight through that little hole mark that I've made there. Now remember, this is an open back mule shoe, so it's really easy for me to just lean it up against some masking tape or something like this. If you are making a court shoe or something with a closed back, you'd need to hold it up so that you're sort of not squashing the rest of the shoe. But for this, it's a little bit easier. So I'm just going to drill straight through the center there. Okay, and then what I want to do is put my sole back in place, and then taking a silver pen or a pencil, I want to mark through the hole that I've just made so that I can see on the sole where I want the hole to be. Now I'm actually going to use a hole punch to punch this one out. Now I always start by going right in the center, and then I'll make it a little bit bigger as I go. So the idea is that this little round section here wants to fit inside that hole. So you can see I'll need to make this quite a bit bigger. So I usually draw on a rough kind of mark like that so that I have a guide of how big I want it to be. And then I usually just take the punch and punch around in a circle. If I had a bigger hole punch, this would be even easier. And you just want to keep checking. Okay, so that fits in there really nicely now, which is great. Okay, so one final thing. This heel has like a little extra kind of stand up, what do I call that? Little tiny like post just under here out of the same plastic. So as I place this on, I can see that it's not allowing my heel to go totally flat. So I want to accommodate that as well. You could try and just cut it off, but I'm just going to punch a little hole for it. And the easiest way to do that is to literally push it on there to make a mark, and I can see there's a little mark here. So I'm literally just going to take a small hole and just punch that out as well. So now when I place the heel on there, they both sit really nice and flush. Yeah, I'm really glad I did that extra little detail. Okay, that's sitting beautifully. So now what I'm going to do is go ahead and stick the rest of the sole flush onto the insole board. Okay, so really making sure that you quite carefully get the glue all the way up to the edge on both sides. I even put a bit more glue on the sole there, and really do give it a decent dry time because that's how you'll get the best stick. So try not to be impatient and make sure it is really nice and tacky, almost completely dry really, before you stick it down. Okay, so I've given this a decent dry time now. I'm just going to stick this down really delicately, making sure that the holes line up with each other and just getting it to stick nice and securely on the sides there. So once we're all happy with it, you can give it a really good pinch all the way around. That's gone on really nicely there, like that. Okay, so now we can go ahead and get the heel on there. So I'm actually just going to drill a little bit more on here, and I'm going to do it from this angle now, just to make sure that that hole is really nice and clear for me to get the screw in. So I'm going to get the screw in first, and I can see that that's poking out the other side there now, so I'm going to place the heel in position. I may need to bring it out a little bit. Okay, so I can see that that's gripped on, but I just need to make sure that the heel isn't shifting, and then I can really start to tighten it up. Okay, so that heel is now really beautifully secured onto the bottom there, and we can go ahead and put our insole sock in.